everybody, this is D-Tozo-C along with...
Psycho Break.
And he's finally here to talk with us on NCIS Hawaii. Dude, what did you think about the show so far? And before you start talking, this episode is called Rescuer.
Yeah, this, after watching the other two with you and stuff, I could see why you actually like it. For somebody that's not into NCIS and stuff, this actually, for some reason, just from the two episodes, makes me want to go and watch the whole thing and catch up, just so I can have more information, I guess. But honestly, I like the cast, and I really do.
Oh, yeah, and I've told you a couple of times already, I love Ernie. To me, he is one of the best characters. He's the one that was like Abby, a forensic specialist. He's the one that does all the computer work and stuff. And they actually call him their secret weapon, which to me is kind of cool. But this episode starts off with a woman named Tracy, who is the first black swimming rescuer in the Coast Guard history. The first female to be able to make that. So I think that's pretty cool that they're showing that as far as for someone like that. But it starts off with her rescuing a person that their boat capsized, and the video of it went viral from what somebody was videoing and everything, and she became famous. And basically, she was kind of pissed off about it. And to get into a little backstory, I'll tell you that later on, but she was trying to hide from some people, and the video making her famous just did not help any. It flashes to 2 weeks in advance, and that scene you see is her boyfriend, who she just was kissing at the bar, is dead. And the Coast Guard people who was there, basically kind of like the NCIS but for the Coast Guard, they were there and they had their jurisdiction. NCIS had their jurisdiction because of him being in the Navy. And basically the guy he said he's socially awkward, but to me, the signs he showed a lot of was kind of signs like what I show sometimes with my Asperger's, where I can get along with one or two people, but you get more than that, I'm not that good in a big group. I really ain't. Ask Psycho Break, he can tell you.
Yeah, he doesn't blend into family picnics.
Yeah, I try to avoid family pictures. Take the pictures if I can instead.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy definitely also looked like the one that doesn't trust anybody. Looks like maybe they'll delve into that later, but look like he has a history of maybe somebody turning on him or something, and that's why he don't.
Yeah, that he does seem a lot more standoffish and everything, but I mean, he shows different signs of different things, and it's just one of those things. But anyway, Jane Tennant, she's the one that recognizes that the guy was not killed there, that he was killed somewhere else and dropped there. And she pulls out a phone out of the guy's back pocket and sees that there was like 10 missed calls and several text messages from Tracy. They found out that they were a couple, so they go to investigate. And it was Lucy and Kai were the ones that went to Tracy's house. And Tracy was just getting out of her vehicle and everything. And they had to tell her that her boyfriend was killed, which is always bad news to give anyone. And basically, they asked well, where have you been? Because we heard that you were not coming into work, calling in, and everything. She said she's been camping, and they hear music coming from her house because she starts to kind of fall from the news, and they go to help her in the house. They hear music. She said, I wasn't playing any music. And when they open up the door, they see all the blood on the floor. And that's where her boyfriend was killed. And what else was in the room?
I was hoping it was going to be pink stuffed rabbits from Silent Hill, but it was actually just pink bears. A lot of pink bears.
Well, she's worried about her cat while they're talking and everything. And she lets him know that he was there to take care of the cat. Finally, they end up hearing the cat meow. And it was a real cat's meow because Psycho Break's cat Ginger started looking at the TV like, huh? Like she heard another cat, so she was wondering where it came from.
Yeah, she was getting ready to dart at the window, so she thought it was a real cat. I mean, it actually, the sound on that, like, if you have a pet, I will give you a full warning and stuff. If you have dogs and you watch this show, and they hear that cat meow, the way that cat was meowing, your animals will freak out.
Yeah, we know Ginger sure did.
Yeah. For a minute there, I thought it was outside.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know one thing. I heard the cat, and I was like, is that real? Then you said something about, they used a real cat's voice on there.
Yeah. Because it was making a sound that a cat makes when they're lost or scared, and it had that sound on there, so that's what
Yeah. Anyway, they could tell that she's hiding some, but they don't really pry too much. And whenever they get back to their home office or whatever you want to call it, basically Ernie did a search and everything and found out that she was all over internet and everything until she turned 18. Then she went silent on social media. And they found the only picture that came after she turned 18, joined the Coast Guard, was from a defunct Vine account. And it was her and several guys. And that was from back in her hometown and everything. So Kai, kind of knowing a history of how people of color are kind of discriminated and everything, and questioned like that, he said that he would try to talk to her, and they used that little bit of information they found where she goes swimming every morning to go there and be able to get in contact with her, talk to her. And she admittedly told him who she thought done it, which was someone who was kind of like her ex-boyfriend when she was living in her hometown. And they didn't have anybody's names from the picture, but once that happened, they knew the name and found out that he just got out of prison. She told about how he burned a couple up after doing a robbery at a convenience store and everything. Set fire to the place to destroy evidence, and the couple died. And he ended up going down for manslaughter instead of murder. Well, she's afraid about that. They actually find a guy because he got out like 2 weeks before this, and he came straight to Hawaii. Well, given that, they went to him, arrested him, brought him in for questioning and everything. Had to let him go because they didn't really have anything on him. She was upset with that. That's why they said they were going to put her in witness protection. And whenever she went back to her house with that Lucy, to get her clothes and stuff to go to a safe house. Lucy went to the back door to kind of guard it while she was getting her clothes. Front door started opening up, and it was one of the other guys that was in that picture. And he had a gun, and that's when Jane ended up saying, drop the gun, so he wouldn't. So she shot him and everything. And basically, that's how they found out that he was the one that got out on parole about 2 years before this. And literally has been stalking her, sending the pictures and everything to him, to the other guy, and he's the one that killed the boyfriend because the other guy had the alibi and everything. Basically, our guy was just using everyone else, being a typical predator.
Yeah, I got the feeling though on this though too that they were trying to tie up loose ends, and the reason why I say that is because the other crew got arrested or got captured. She's the only one that didn't get captured. She kind of went on, kind of like dropped out of sight and mind and went and did her own thing, joined the Coast Guard and everything like that.
Yeah.
So they were all in a way kind of resentful to the fact that she had a chance to be their witness or to back them up, and she chose not to because of the fact that she didn't like, because it was wrong. I mean, with what happened was wrong, and she really felt bad about that.
She actually had no problem being the alibi for him and the rest of them at the time until 2 people ended up dead.
Yeah, in a fire.
And that's the reason why she joined the Coast Guard and ran. She even said, I ran to the Coast Guard. And basically, when they let him go, they kept eyes on him and everything. He got away, but the other guy that's from the Coast Guard kept following him, found out he was back at his motel room and everything. And they found that the guy that Jane killed, he was the one that killed the boyfriend, and found all the photos and stuff and the money in his account for doing everything. And they said, okay, well, go and arrest him. That's enough to press charges. Go arrest him. So they went, and Peck, the guy who was from the Coast Guard, went ahead and went in there earlier to try to arrest him by himself when they got the call. Well, NCIS guys get there, and all they see is blood and Peck's glasses on the floor.
Yeah, I don't know if they look broken or not. I don't remember that.
They didn't look broken, but
there was blood all over them, yeah.
Yeah, so they knew something was wrong. So Jane called Lucy to let her know that backup was on the way. She said, well, backup just arrived. She said, they shouldn't be that close yet.
Yeah, that's not possible, yeah.
And it was that guy, James. He was driving Peck's car with the blue lights and siren and everything. And first thing Lucy asked was, where was Peck? Oh, he's in the car. He's still breathing for now. All he wanted to do was kill Tracy. Said that she got away with murder and he had to go away for a third of his life. And basically saying that Tracy was blaming everybody else, when in fact it was all him. And it ended up in a scuffle. The guy was apprehended, even though he didn't want to go back to prison. He would rather have been shot by the cops. Which I kind of would understand that in a way. But at the same time, yeah, it's kind of messed up.
He was like a one-man wrecking crew, though. The guy that was the stalker ended up whooping all their butts and stuff. Just enough time for...
he was whooping Peck and whooping Lucy. And once Peck got behind him, because he snuck up from behind him, Lucy said, in the water. And Tracy jumped into the water, and That's when the big scuffle started, and dude, it was like Lucy even had him in kind of like the Hell's Gate submission,
Yeah, the guillotine. Yeah,
the guillotine and everything. And the guy picked her up and just slammed her down against the rocks.
yeah. The whole scene of that scene takes place on a cliff where there's a bunch of
Jagged rocks and everything.
And the thing. So it's definitely a good scenery for the fight scene, the showdown. It
was
definitely
good. It really was.
Really beautiful.
And I will say this, what got me was the way that both Peck was walking afterwards and the way that Luce was walking. You could tell if they didn't have stunts, if they did their own stunts, you could tell that they really did their own stunts. They both looked beat up and bruised, and just the way they were walking, it's like her back was hurting and everything.
Yeah, they really did a good job on selling that to really make it believable, because that whole time you're in that environment and watching this show, you get into the characters, which I really like, and you forget for a moment that this is a TV show. So then when they're doing this fight thing, you're thinking, oh my God, they're going to kill him. You know, it's like,
yeah.
That was pretty cool. All in all, the acting on there for me on there was superb. Like, it did not feel like a B movie, a snuff side off, sideshow thing. This actually feels like this definitely feels like a promising series that's probably going to last a while. Probably better than the one in Louisiana did, or New Orleans.
Yeah, the only reason why the New Orleans really ended, in all honesty, people say it was due to COVID, but a lot of it was due to it being out for as long as it was. I think they had 8 seasons on that. And they started getting new people at the end, and that's when people started kind of dropping off after Lucas Black, the one that played on Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Mm-hmm. One that's from Leeds, Alabama.
Yeah. Whenever he died on the show, they said that's whenever the viewership started to decline. And those last 2 seasons without him, they actually did not have that many viewers, and that's the only reason why they ended that show.
Wow.
Because one of the most beloved characters died.
Wow.
So I figure with that, NCIS is going to take a note, because Gibbs has already left the original NCIS, and you already have Michael Weatherly. He left, the one that played as Tony DiNozzo, and there's Ginger again. And then you had Abby to leave. You can't have so many people leaving like that and keep the show going for long. So I'd be surprised if the original NCIS lasts much longer. But I digress. NCIS Hawaii, The Rescuer, was a great episode. To me, I didn't enjoy it as much as the previous episode, The Tourist, just due to the fact that The Tourist had more the spy and espionage element to it.
Right.
So it was more like a thriller than a crime show. But
where The Rescuer kind of felt like, let's see how many turns and twists we can do within the
45. But it was still a very
minutes.
good show.
Yeah, it was good. Definitely good. Enough that after I watched this with you and stuff, I'm thinking, okay, we watched 6 and 7. I need to watch 1 through 5. Yeah, so all in all, I would definitely give this, as a first time even watching this, I'd probably give this definitely a 4 out of 5, really, on the episodes that we watched. Yeah.
And he's one of them that said he would never watch NCIS. He didn't care for that kind of stuff.
And I realize now that it didn't have to do with so much NCIS. It had to do with the characters. For me, forgot what NCIS it was, the one that had Abby.
That was original NCIS.
The original NCIS had the guy who played in the NBC TV series of Ted Bundy. And to see him playing as a freaking cop would have been like seeing freaking Charles Manson playing as an NCIS investigator. Just like I couldn't do that. To me, he was the guy that always had the cast on his arm, hitting people upside the head. But yeah. But yeah, this is for people. With the reason why I was on here is to show and to tell y'all if you don't think you'll like it and stuff, just give it a shot. Give 1 or 2 episodes, watch it, and I guarantee you, because I'm not a fan of the series, but I'm probably gonna watch this one most definitely, just so me and him have talking points and stuff. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, Tojo, for letting me be on this with you, and this to me. Definitely, if you don't watch this, you're missing out. This is
You
probably
really
really
are.
promising.
I mean, I've been watching all the NCIS since the beginning. Original NCIS, NCIS New Orleans, NCIS LA, and now NCIS Hawaii. And I still say the original is my favorite because of the characters. But honestly, the only characters that was originally on it now is McGee. He's the only one still there from the original cast. So, I mean, as long as they don't lose their characters too often, I honestly think NCIS Hawaii will go on for many, many seasons.
One thing I want to throw in here for you, and I'm sorry to interject here.
Don't be sorry.
The other thing that they had on here was a subplot, and that was the father and son bonding and stuff like that. Like,
oh, they actually had 2 subplots.
Okay. Well, oh yeah.
The one
you're
where
right.
the father and son, because whenever Kai went there to swim to basically try to gain the confidence of Tracy, he found out from the person that owns the place that his father, who he came back to Hawaii to help take care of because of him being sick, got some test results back and they were all good. And he never even knew about it. So it was kind of, he was upset about that. He told his colleague and everything, which was, let's see, what was his name again? He went by, I can't even remember what his name is on there now. But it began with J, I know that much. But he told his colleague about it, and, Jesse. And they ended up going at the end of the show, going to the diner that his father owns, Kai's father owns, and Jesse's the one that brought up saying, hey, Kai told me about your test results coming back all good. And right when he said, oh, I messed up. And Kyle, right then and there, basically was like, okay, I'm no longer mad. I'm just happy that my father's doing good. And he said, yeah, let's celebrate. And the other subplot was the DIA agent and Lucy. The DIA agent, Kate Whistler. It sounds like even though her and Lucy are in a relationship and they're keeping it on DL, that Kate probably is in the closet, is the way it appears, because she don't want to be flirting and everything at the office or anything like that. So I kind of understand that in a way.
It could be that too, or it could be the fact that she doesn't want people knowing her personal life too.
Yeah, but you also got to think, for being DIA, yeah, that's intelligence. So I kind of understand that. So I mean, that was the other subplot, and they did a very good job of tying in those 2 subplots with the main plot of the show, and that's one thing NCIS Hawaii has done very good with. They don't only have the one story; they have another 2 or 3 going on in the background on every episode.
However, I will say the one about the dad concluded, whereas the one about the other one is still ongoing. You see that's going to be something.
Well, Lucy did tell her that keeping things secret can be fun, and she started to walk off. And Kate started to follow her. Tell me about how these things can be fun. So, yeah, that's going to be an ongoing thing. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But you said you give this a 4 out of 5?
Yeah.
That's good for somebody who didn't care for NCIS to start with.
Yeah, on all the cast is good and stuff, and definitely if you're not a fan of NCIS, just sit down on Paramount Plus, take a watch at some of these shows. Sometimes if you don't like something, it ain't because the show's bad. It's just that maybe different shows speak to you differently. Same thing with books. Doesn't mean you don't like to read. Just you may not like how the author tells the story.
Like the old saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't judge a show by what it's branded as.
Yeah.
There's some shows like CSI I never did really care for, but you see me loving NCIS. So, I mean, I don't know if it's the whole military aspect of it or what. But, I mean, I just fell in love with the characters on all of them. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And as always, break every chain.
Break every chain, guys.